Well, good morning on this Saturday. We are all thinking of our friends, family, and those living in Florida and sending more to that collective consciousness. We'll just believe that it's not going to be as bad as it has been told to us. So, Saturday morning, it's always a good time where you can carve out kind of a little bit more of that special time um, where you can maybe give thought to things that you haven't thought about. I did this morning, went out, put my feet on the ground of the earth, told Earth how much I appreciate her, thanked her for the life that she provides. And the thought hit me as I came back into my office and sat down was this: why is it humanity cannot remember our origin, our past? Why is it that in the other species, Neanderthal, Cro-Magnon, Denizen, we can just go on, why no records? If you think that any species, even in the animal kingdom, clearly they have a form of communicating. Now, whether they need to write or not, I was thinking about this. When, for instance, an ant is born and it is born with the entire collective consciousness of its species. Now, I began to think about that and I said, now, what if that's the highest form of intelligence, ascension, communication? I mean, you're born, be like being born with the Library of Congress in your head. Not bad. So I began to think as well, okay, the earth shows us that there have been dramatic impacts to our planet. Asteroids, floods, earthquakes, continents moving, pole shifts. So we know these things have happened. And it certainly now appears that there was some humanid, something related to us, because all of those versions that I talked about are in you and I. So I've never seen anyone in the comment section yet explain how that happens. But let's just continue on. So in these events of great upheaval and cataclysm that infects the whole planet. And infect is a good word because if you have dramatic cataclysm like continents moving, let's say asteroid coming in, let's say pole shift, earth tilting, why no memory? Why no record? And in my meditation time, this is what came in. And I actually wrote it down, and you can see it in the back. Humanity forgets to heal, as we all do. The human brain, and this is a fact, all you ladies who have given birth, we can't actually remember the pain itself. We can have a distant, foggy, like, yeah, that hurt, but I can't even feel the sensation of it anymore. And as time passes, it becomes less and less. Now, I think that this is a mechanism that our species developed, I say epochs ago. I think that our ancestors that maybe date back 50 million years, we know it's certainly a lot longer than 6,000 or 10,000. What we have in the written record is really what you would call, for the most part, this age that we were in, the age of Pisces, and now moving into the age of Aquarius. So think about this. If our ancestors witnessed these events, and let's say as well, a solar system that is not like ours today. In fact, there is many in the scientific community that are beginning to think that we are kind of like in an anomaly. We think our solar system has been this way and it's very stable, and that's how we build our models around. But there is more and more evidence that would say that's not the case. So think about this. Our ancestors see, let's say, a planet, a rogue planet. Could be a rogue moon. Could have even been an asteroid that was of such immense size that could have actually skipped off the atmosphere and had reverberating effects on the planet. But whatever the case was, something happened. And it was apparently so traumatic upon the consciousness of our species is that it held its imprint to this very day. In fact, whatever the event was, or events, have been so traumatic that when our species is faced with even the thought of an event like this happening, that imprint comes to the surface and we become frightened. We begin, since I don't know if a version of us has ever reached the ascension point. I think there's many among our kind that have, but I think collectively it's very evident that we haven't. And apparently that has been our undoing. And when these cataclysmic events happen, the survivors that come up out of the ground, they do exactly what our ancestors have done. And that's to completely forget. The generation that went through it is what starts the process. The trauma was so great that it shattered the very core of our collective consciousness. And we have spent, I don't know, epochs, millions of years, even in postmodern times. I was thinking as well when this thought hit me then, okay, we all remember 9/11, be tomorrow. And for the most part, if you didn't see the specials and the fact that we've been memorialized the day here, it eventually, literally, the imagery becomes like a mist. It's there, but very difficult to bring back. Why? Because it's painful. So, as our species, the core of our consciousness was shattered by these events. Our species was left to grapple with the question of why. And again, because we have failed to ascend time after time after time, we're failing now. There is a group that I'm cheering because I'm a part of that group. You are. That has said, not going to do it anymore. No, we're not going to take and continue into this madness. We're going to say that is unnatural, and working individually develop our own inner self well-being and learning how to do that in such a manner where ego and pride doesn't taint everything, that we learn hate never does anything. To strike out because you've been hurt doesn't do anything. To try to inflict harm on people to get revenge because they did something to you that you didn't feel that was right. Think about this. And so we just get over it and over it and over again. Weird, isn't it? So what do we do? Because if this is the fact that our species, it's like a safe room for our collective consciousness. Because apparently, whatever our ancestors experienced was of such horror and apparently such devastation. So, as we go forward to start empowering the collective consciousness, I think it's important for us to all remember that the difficulty of the past and the result of that is where religions were born. Humanity was left to think, well, what happened? Now, again, maybe our knowledge wasn't at the level to understand the universe, the physical laws, and that, in fact, objects do collide in space. And the dynamics of planets, objects, gravity, inertia, complex. Our technology today is of such a level that we could begin to see that. Now, would we warn ourselves? No. Ronald Reagan came to the conclusion that the only compassionate way was to allow nature to take its course. As it was told to him, how do you save 300 million people. You don't. So that then means that developing our collective consciousness becomes really important. And then I'll just finish up why we invented gods. It was the only way that our species could justify what happened. And apparently it's happened many times. So each time one of these events happen, it's like you have a flashback. That missed parts and clarity hits us at that 1 second before. And everyone looks at everyone else and going, oh, crap, knew it. So, thought for the day. I think I've been going at this for almost 18 minutes, taking enough of your time. Get out and enjoy the day. You folks down in Florida, we're with you. As we are, the same thing that when we were there with Harvey. It always astounds me to see the resiliency of the collective consciousness of humanity. No matter how many times we seem to get knocked down, no matter how many times, if there are in fact a species greater than us that actually dominates us, rules us, we still don't give up. Now, we may not get any smarter about it, but we don't give up. Our tenacity is like a bulldog in a junkyard. It's got a bone and you ain't taking it away from him. Be like one of the soldier ants down in the Brazilian rainforest. They latch on to you. You can cut their heads off. They still ain't letting go. That's humanity. That's what we do. That's what we do best. Now, if we could just break that glass ceiling, so to speak, and start taking our rightful place at the table with the other species, I think that things would change. I think our planet would change. I think Earth itself would rejoice at that. Yeah. Or maybe our gods don't want us to come together collectively. Did a whole video on that. Strong foundation to that, by the way. Because it's all theoism. Theology. And just because you were grafted into one point of view doesn't mean your point of view is right. Doesn't mean that mine's right. We're all searching. I'm just on a path that I finally got outside the mind meld, the God spell. And when you begin to, go on the other side of the fence and then look back objectively, you'll see what I mean. But the thing is, going forward, you can't allow that imagery to paint a mirage in front of you, because it will. One of the things I know that our collective consciousness has, collectively, individually, is faith. Now, religions have made and taken advantage of this. Men in history that turned out to be not the demigods that those who put them into power thought they were, but they learned something. Successful businessmen know this, and women, is that if you can control a group and build their faith up, focus on one thing, an individual, a movement, a revolution, they use that power that's been defined as faith collectively. Individually is okay for the individual in small groups. You can do, we will. But when you begin to add 1,000,000 to it, and those in the high places that you and I will never see, they hide themselves, but they monitor conversations like this. It's their greatest fear, particularly when you start seeing the numbers go up. You get on the radar. I mean, some strange stuff happened, but I think that that's affirmation of everything that you and I have been wanting to affirm. So, anyway, now I've gone on for 23 minutes. Well, you have a good day. Be kind to yourself, be kind to your loved ones, and be kind to the earth. It's a good thing. We'll talk soon.